Okay. All right, we're going to call this meeting in order. 1:31. Roll call, please.
President Lee Trujillo. Present. Scott Harris.
Present.
Leo Oliveri. Present. Diana Summers.
Present.
Robert Thamez.
Present.
John Valls.
Present.
Alan Wilson.
Here.
Okay, we do have a quorum present to conduct the meeting.
Thank you. Is there anyone here that would like to give public comment? Ms. Huerta, did we have any public comment?
Nothing written, sir.
Nothing written. Thank you so much. I'd like to entertain, are there any corrections to the minutes? Did y'all have a chance to review the minutes? Any corrections?
Second.
We have a first by Thamez, second by Mr. Valls. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Thank you. Ms. Heather Hilbert.
Good afternoon, Chairman and Board. Heather Hulbert, Director of Finance. We'll be reviewing the financial statements for the period ending July 31st, 2022. So for the overall fund, we began the year with a fund balance of $4.6 million. Revenues to date are a little over $7 million, and our expenditures to date are a little over $3 million. And we did add a little bit more detail that we'll review on the next slide to talk about what makes up those expenses. So that does leave us an ending fund balance of $11.6 million as of July 31st. Below, you can see how it's broken out between the different funds. We do have the affordable housing, economic development, and streets. So then on the next slide, here's a breakout of the different expenses that made up that total. So for affordable housing, we have paid out the incentive to Salvation Army of $500,000, and then we had some bank charges and transfers to the general fund for administration. For economic development, we have paid out for the small business projects, job creation, facility improvements, and then the regional economic development contract. Some small interest and bank charges, and then the transfers to the general fund, and also the transfers to the park CIP fund, which I believe is for the golf course lighting improvements. And then for streets, just some administrative cost, and then the $1.2 million that was transferred to the street CIP for the Elizabeth Street reconstruction. So that is a summary of the expenses to date. Then looking at affordable housing, we do have two commitments. One is for the Alma at Greenwood, and the other is for the Infill Housing Incentive Program, which was a 2-year program over 22 and 23. The economic development, we still have multiple projects that are being paid out, or forecast to be paid out over the next several years. We will bring updated balances on some of these, but I believe that the next sports company will be pushed to fiscal year 23 and 24. Vista Point has been processed for payment. We have processed some payments for the TAMU-CC project, and then we have, of course, the small business contracts, and then the Gabe Lozano Executive 9-hole golf course, which I believe actually has been processed for payment. And then looking at our streets, we did transfer $1.2 million to CIP. The streets funds did repay the loan of $2.5 million back to economic development. And then we have anticipated transfer of $4.1 million in fiscal year 23. Now looking at our sales tax revenue, we continue to perform above what was forecasted within the budget on our collections. And so to date, we have collected about $400,000 more than what was budgeted for revenue, for a total of $6.9, almost $7 million worth of collections. Then we still do have 2 more months, August and September, to record for the fiscal year. So that concludes my presentation. I'm available for any questions.
Any questions? Mr. Valls?
Thank you, Mr. President. Heather, can you go back a couple of slides to the economic development expenditures?
Sure. Let's see if I can.
Right there. So refresh my memory, when we approve these programs, who papers up the agreement? Who puts that together? I'm assuming.
Our legal department.
Okay. And we don't get copies of those, do we?
Not usually. Sometimes we'll have preliminary agreements attached to the agenda items when it's approved, but 9 times out of 10, it's done after the fact. You direct us to go ahead and negotiate that agreement for that set amount.
Okay.
Is it in the item that goes to the?
It is usually in the item that goes to city council. It's
Okay.
probably more likely to be in that item than in yours, because we may not have finished getting this contract signed before we
The
get to you.
execution, yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense, but would it be okay, I mean, just for my benefit, that once it's approved by the council, assuming, or any of these projects that are approved by the council, that those agreements come back to us so we can kind of see what some of the deal points are in those agreements?
Sure.
They are standard forms. I can
Yeah.
send you some of the ones that currently exist so you can see what.
Okay.
They all look pretty similar. They might have minor changes here or there.
Okay.
So would
Okay.
you like that to be brought back as like a discussion item, or is this just an informational
Information.
memo to the board after they're finalized?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep, for me at least. I don't know how the board feels, but for me. Okay, thank you, Mr. President. Thank you, Heather. Thank you, Amy.
Okay.
Okay, item H3, resolution authorizing the use of up to $4,149,845 of Type B arterial and collector funds for specified industrial park roadway improvements.
Yes. So we're doing this a little bit differently. So the type B does have to approve through public hearing, has to have a public hearing for each use of funds. Normally, we have it whenever we award the contract, but because of the streets funds, it goes through the budget process, and then we come back to the board for the public hearing after the project is decided or proposed and approved within the CIP. And so this project is for street reconstruction in District 5. It is for an industrial area, and it includes the construction and rehabilitation of Doberman Street, Pyrenees Street, and Bay Drive. On the slides, you can see the red lines are where those are going to be reconstructed. It is a total cost of $8.3 million, with $4.15 coming from Type B street funds. The remaining will be funded through revenue bonds for the utility portion of the reconstruction.
Thank you, Mr. President. So this has already been approved? This is already good to go, this project?
Yes, it was in
Yes.
the budget.
Yes, it
Sorry?
was in the CIP.
It was in the CIP.
And has the council approved it?
Yes,
Okay. This is out there off of Yorktown, is that right?
that is correct.
Okay. I mean, there's not a whole lot out there. I mean, what's the benefit to improving those streets out there? Like, what's the aggregate? Like, how many businesses or how many folks out there are going to benefit from these streets? Because $8 million is a lot of money when, in my opinion, that could be used to widen Yorktown all the way out there to Flower Bluff. I think there's a greater need out there, but how do y'all decide, like, what's going to get funded? Whoever wants to take
Yes,
that.
I will. Good afternoon.
Hey, Constance.
Hi.
How are you?
So we received some information from the Public Works Department, and the PCI on these roads range from 0 to 14. There are 31 businesses within the area which directly serve 21 streets.
Serve what?
21 directly served by these streets, excuse me. So there are 31 businesses and 21 are served directly by these streets that we're presenting.
Yeah, I'm familiar with the area, and they are pretty beat up, but that's a pretty heavy industrial area. There's a lot of machine shops and automotive repair and so forth out there. It just seems more logical that money would be put where more people can benefit from it, like Yorktown. You know, I mean, I'm sure y'all have driven out there. Yorktown from Rodfield out there to the bridge is all the way actually to Flower Bluff or Waldron is just, man, something is going to happen. I travel that road every day now. Our kids are going to Flower Bluff. And I mean, I've been there several times before, but now I'm more aware. And with school in session, there's a lot of traffic out there. I mean, this isn't the place to get it done now, but just to at least get it on somebody's radar that that be a potential improvement on the next go around.
Right, yeah, so the 2020 bond program for the city had funding for that section of the road to be designed,
Okay,
and it's nearly designed,
Right.
design's nearly complete. And then in the 2022 bond program, I think it's over 20 million for the construction of that road.
okay.
So construction, if the voters approve it this November, is funded in that
Okay.
bond program.
All right, that's great
Yes, sir.
news. I
Yeah.
appreciate that. Thanks for the
Right.
update, Peter.
Yes, sir.
Thank you, Heather. Thank you, Constance. I appreciate that.
We have a question, Ms. Olawari?
Yeah, I'm not against this, and obviously I was a part of the group that wanted to let the staff and the city council pick these streets. But one thing I do think, and John, you sort of hit on it, I see some currently used arterials that are in pretty bad shape, where there are existing businesses, and, you can only do so much on the bond, and the only way I know how to kind of consider besides PCI is also traffic counts. Who else is using those streets? How does the general public also get benefit? So it might be something for y'all to think about in future discussions on how this money's allocated. That's all.
Okay, sure.
Mr. Temez?
I just want to add that it's a good park, industrial park that we assisted back in 13, I think, and we fixed one of the streets there. So Michael remembers that. So I'm in favor of this.
Great.
Any other questions? Any other public comment? I see Mr. Culberson was walking towards the front, so I didn't know if he had public comment.
Yeah, it's a public hearing, so we need to open the public hearing.
So yes, this is open for public hearing. Any public comment? Okay, there being none, I'll entertain a motion to approve the resolution.
We'll close the public hearing and then, yes,
Close
sir.
this public hearing. We're done?
So moved.
Second.
Got a first and a second? Now I'll entertain a motion to approve the resolution.
So moved.
Mr. Wilson?
Okay,
That's
it was,
what that
it
was.
was Mr. Valls and
Oh,
Mr.
that was
Harris.
we closed the hearing.
Yes, you did. Yes, sir.
Yeah. Okay.
We need to vote on it.
Now, entertain a motion to pass this.
So
Mr.
moved.
Wilson?
Yes.
Second, Mr. Temez. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion passes. Thank you.
Oh, yeah.
Corpus Christi Economic Development Corporation, Mr. Culberson.
The interim CEO of
Interim
your
CEO.
Corpus Christi EDC. Wow, exciting. So for the next hour, I'm going to go over the projects. I know, Mr.
You have
Thomas.
the floor, sir.
Yeah, we helped Mayak boats out there in 2013, and I had no idea who they were, and now I can't see a boat without seeing Mayak boats. So, and they did a great job. I'll be bringing a project to you next month that has already gone through our board. So let's get started. I'm just going to kind of run through them, and please stop me when we're going. Botanical Gardens, there was a question with the Texas Parks and Wildlife that they have answered, so they are getting they haven't got the funds yet, but they've got it all set up to get those funds. Remember, we were going to use the $89,000 as matching for $200,000, so now they have $289,000, and that will help them extend ADA all the way around that OSO park. Del Mar
Question, Mr.
Prospects.
Valls. Mr. Culberson, we got a question, Mr. Valls?
Sorry about that. Can you go back one slide?
Sure.
So, Mike, what is the total cost of that project?
$289,000.
Okay, so an $89,000 grant basically from this organization, and then a $200,000 grant from Texas Parks and Wildlife?
Right.
And how much is the Botanical Gardens putting in?
They
What's
are.
their skin in the game?
The last time I remember, it was more like 60,000, and they were doing funds, raising funds. So let me check and see how much exactly that was.
Okay, because I think we need to know that the next time. I remember this
Okay.
one years ago when we did it. But, I mean, they're using all grant money for this entire project, and typically, they leveraged our money as local match.
Right.
So I think we need to be a little more aware of what an organization is putting in themselves.
Okay.
I mean, every board that I've served on, we always have to come up with funds. We've got to have skin in the game as well.
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Del Mar Process Technology, they are just cleaning up. You can see that they don't have much of the grant left, but if it's any clue of what they've done in the past, they'll use it all up, I promise you. So don't worry about that. So let's talk about New Sports Company. They have been working, so first off, they bought more land, 4.6, and then they were waiting for the harvest to come in, and that happened. They are working through development services, and I will be honest, he's not quite as sophisticated on that side, and he asked for help from us to basically explain what development services was asking him for, and so we talked to Mr. Demas, and he went out there and discussed exactly what he needed to do, and so I think that they're on track again. They still want to get this thing done by December so that they can be on the schedule for soccer tournaments next year. But no more crossing the street. So that's part of it. And so he has done everything except, so he's done the plat. He's waiting on the final plat to start going. It's leveled, so they can just start going as soon as they do.
Today, I drove by today, Mr. Culberson, and, was telling the crew I was with that this is going to be a fantastic sports complex
Yes, sir.
featuring soccer with a 5,000-seat stated arena. But December 31st, 2023 is tight.
Yes.
Do they foresee getting it done by then?
They perceive, yes, but,
Could be an
if
extension.
they don't do it, it won't go back. So they certainly will have the soccer fields and, the competitive ones.
Okay.
It's whether they do the stadium, but
Right.
remember, the stadium's not part of it.
That's right.
Don't look at her. She told me not to say it. Okay.
Mike,
Yes, sir.
Chairman.
Yes, Mr. Harris.
I've got a question. So you said they're having problems or issues maybe with development services. Don't they have an engineer on board? Didn't they have Govind?
I think
Is he
that
out of
they're
the
not
picture
explaining
now?
it. I think it's an internal issue, and Mr. Demas was nice enough, to call him up and help him out. Maybe he was not communicating well with his engineer, but yes, they do have Govind on that. So I don't
Okay.
see what the problem is, and I hadn't heard anything. So
Yeah.
and
there's
maybe-
multiple projects go through development services. This one, I mean, they have to have those relationships. So
yes,
they need help. They should get it through their engineer.
yes, okay, and I'll recommend that.
Yep.
All right. So, I missed them. ICE, they just finished a huge contract. They just got a huge contract from Homeland Security. Remember, over 90% of their revenue is exported outside of Corpus Christi. To Mr. Harris's, right? They are having trouble getting people finally. They are probably not going to make their number this year. There is clauses in the agreement that take care of that and either reduce it, or if they're way below, then they get nothing for this year. But yeah, they are having problems. They're probably 5 engineers short right now. They were going to have to hire and hire and hire. I think they have 6 open positions. So they're doing well. They got the work. They're just they are starting to see that gap in bringing up engineers. A lot of things that they do is they bring in interns from Texas A&M Kingsville. They have a relationship with them, and they have 3 interns right now from TAM UK. So yes, don't feel bad. You were sitting there going, where are they getting these people? Well, they finally ran out. So.
Yeah, interns are not full-time
Oh, no,
employees,
understand. So, and even if they become engineers and they do their EIT, it's going to be a while before. What do you have to do, 2 years?
And the requirement is to have full-time employees
No,
in
they
the
do not
city,
count.
but then their work, 90% of their work is from outside the city limits,
Correct.
but their employees are here,
Correct. They have employees
not in the valley.
correct.
where
They
their
they
other
have them in
offices.
the valley, but the only ones we count are the ones here.
Okay.
And interns don't count. They have to be full-time here.
Okay.
So no, I'm with you. All right. So that's actually good news. They're doing well, but you know everything is hitting there. If you graduate as an engineer, you are doing a great job. So tell your kids, grandkids, great grandkids to go into STEM and engineering. Speaking of engineering, we have industrial and civil. They are just moving along. They're about halfway through. This is one of those ones where I actually had to get a list of which labs they're going into. So as you can imagine, with industrial and civil, now you start breaking things. You start torsioning, wood, and then you find out that concrete's not good in torsion, but it's great in compression, which is why you have I-beams and what was that? The momentum of angular momentum to figure out statics. So they are doing well, and again, I promise you, they will use all of theirs. They do ask about getting the board out to take a look at some of those labs, either by threes. Rebecca, how many can go out without being a three? Either by threes or even hold a board meeting out there. I mean, I know that it would take some logistics on the part of the city, so maybe we can just do three. And I tell you, this board has graciously and seen the value in those labs. And I've been through it twice, and it's just eye-opening, And I've seen a lot of stuff, but man, this is just eye-opening. The things they can do. They get bird's eye view because of a drone that you can open up the back of a police car, put wings on it, and throw it out there, and now you have a view of the whole thing. What roads you have to block off, especially at the command center. So I would really, really, really like you, Mr. President, to figure out to either just say yes or no, and we'll do the logistics. Okay, you don't have to worry about that. We will figure out times for, and even we can do two at a time, whatever, So as long as we're not going through. All right. So Lone Star Flight Center, they are just starting. They're moving along, getting equipment. Big deal. So Brittany, as you probably all know, we're the final four now. Mike and Sarah does investor relations. Brittany Sotella does BRE, business retention and expansion, and Pamela does the information. So we're picking up where Tommy left, and Brittany attended the drone conference with Texas A&M. And so that went well. Trying to get companies to move here, trying to get companies to choose this place as where they will certify their operators, their vehicle, and their payload capacity. So these are the things that we're looking for and that we're trying to do. And as Brittany said, man, there's a lot of nerds here. So she's 32.
Was there a lot of interest?
Was there a lot? What?
Was there a lot of interest when she went?
There was a lot of interest on coming here to qualify.
Okay.
There was only one that actually was thinking about coming down here. And I know Councilman Hunter always talks about tech, but let me tell you, we're not just going to get tech. That's just not a thing. People talk to me about, where I live in Boston, there's things 500 years old, and I go, well, every 30 years we kind of clean these things out and move on with new. So, but we can get tech with drones, and we could probably get tech with maritime. So those are the things that we, the EDC, are going to focus on as a way to get tech here. So let's talk about La Vista Point. They actually call it Lighthouse Point. They finished the construction of the buildings. You can see the chapel if you drive in from Portland like I do. It's going up, and the lighthouse is finished, and they have COOs on everything. They have 159 apartments, and I've toured the place. I've toured all of these, and they are ready to go. In fact, they submitted an invoice for their grant. They have 29 of 159 apartments complete, and you can go there and eat brunch, eat dinner, and get married in the chapel, and do whatever you want to do there. So
A question, Ms. Olivar.
I thought the requirement was that they have all the units complete.
They have all the COOs.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
It's
They don't have to
129
rent them.
leased.
I'm sorry.
They're just not rented yet.
Right.
I got you.
Okay, Lift Fund, they've already used up all of their requirement. There is a question because remember during the all of the things for COVID, they did get 3 tranches. They got one for small business, and then they got another one for small business. And those paybacks goes into the Corpus Christi fund so that they have funds to loan. But there's a third one, and I'm doing compliance on that, and we are meeting Thursday. And I'll have something, depending on where that goes, then I'll need backup, so I may go up to San Antonio. I'm up in San Antonio Friday talking to realtors. Not to move, I'm gonna, yeah. So, but they requested, here, let me show you what they've done. So here's the buy down program, who they're funding. They requested, remember, 100,000 for next year, and you saw the value in that and raised that up. So they are doing well. SCORE, which is, I know everybody loves their children, the same. At least that's what you tell them. But SCORE, I think, is just a great deal for what you pay. They do a lot of quality things. As a compliance person, I go to 2 or 3 of their seminars every year, and you'd be surprised. The one at Christmas is incredible. They talk about getting people in, about getting their emails, about going through all of the things that small businesses can do, and they don't have this anywhere else. And they may have it on the SBA site, for the world, but this is right here. This is talking about Corpus Christi or the area and things like that. So they've done very well. Remember, this is to get small business owners information, and expecting them to come to your place and for 3 hours is just not going to work. So they bring them in, they feed them food, which is part of this thing, and put on the lecture, which I think is a great idea. You can still attend by Zoom, but anyway, they still have that.
Mike, this is probably a question more for Peter. Is it possible to televise this conference that they have annually in December to give information to the public? Because it's such a great service to small business, but a lot of small businesses aren't aware of it.
Okay.
So
Well, let me find out how they market it out.
it's
It is.
on
It
there
is. All
already.
you have to do is sign up for it. You don't have to be a member or anything like that. But let me see how they advertise for it. Maybe.
I'm talking about the public channel where you flip
Oh,
it and there it is, and it's our board meeting, but it's really some public service announcement. I mean, something where it's available on a weekly basis where it just scrolls and comes up. Could be 10 o'clock at night. I don't know. But
Yeah, we could do like a PSA that could, constantly run on there.
Okay.
We'll
Thank
talk
you.
to our communications group.
I assume that if it's on Zoom, then you can record it. It's not automatically recorded. You actually have to
those
select
are for
it.
the folks who know about it.
Yes.
I want to reach out to those who
An
don't.
awareness event.
No,
right,
no. What
yeah.
I'm saying is. Right. Yeah. Okay. But I mean, you could do what he said. You could just record it,
Right.
and so what I'm saying is it's Zoom anyway. So it's not necessarily recorded, but you can just hit one button that says record. So that's a good idea. I'll bring that up. The interns, both the Del Mar and A&M. Let's talk about those for a second. Here's Del Mar's. They have pretty much their full complement of interns, and they actually, one of the problems is they don't have enough businesses signed up to do that, and they're working hard. So the intern part of Del Mar got moved into the SBDC, and so they are reaching out to a lot of people. So lack of businesses and lack of hours. They have, even the businesses that have interns are not giving them the hours. And we all know, I mean, inflation is going, and it's one of those like 2009. I don't want to minimize it, but if you have a job, it's not really that bad. But if you don't, it's really a recession. So, and I think we got spoiled because of 3% and 2.9% buying a house, but that's not really the way it is. This is, the normal interest rate, the natural interest rate's 3%, right? So anything over, and then you do that prime plus that. So We will see. That's one of the problems that Del Mar is having. They have the students, they don't have the businesses, and even the businesses they have are not doing well on hours, or as many hours as they used to. A&M just seems to just keep rocking. I don't know why. They have a problem with hours also, but you know, they have enough businesses. We've talked to them and had them and Del Mar talk to see if there was any overflow that could happen. Remember, the nice thing about Del Mar students is you could have them next year. A&M, you may have them 2 years from now, or we'll see where they go. And of course, the whole point of this was to point out to small businesses here is to help them, number one, help the student, and maybe have that student go in as a full-time person. So PTAC is doing well. They're doing, Texas A&M is doing one, Doing Business with Giants. And that's about, you know, doing business with Gulf Coast Growth Ventures, Chenier, all of those. PTAC, of course, is for government. Procurement Technical Assistance Center is for government. And that's what they're doing so far this year. So they are moving along. You can see the red is 22, and it's not, of course, it's not for the full year. So we will see where they end up. And CRC is the one that, you know, we are trying very hard to do it, but we're finding that procurement is not local. Procurement is somewhere else. Now, if you're a restaurant, you know, McAllister's or something, that might be local, but everything else is very far out. Gulf Coast Growth Ventures, of course, is really the model when they first set up, but even with that, they have used 79 small businesses that go through here, and that's really a CRC part, not a PTAC one. Small Business Development Center, probably next to SCORE. This is where you get your bang for the buck. I mean, I can't imagine how we would have been through COVID had it not been for these people. And this is not going away unless the legislature changes something in their funding this year. Next year, I mean, they are still going to need help with that program, or they're going to lose some people. And when you talk about the amount of counselors per request, amount of requests per counselors, it's quite high. And so that's what they're doing. They're moving along. You can see it's just, you know, 458 clients. Now, not all of them need to be handheld, but you know, a lot of them do. And so at some point you need to graduate from there. So questions. I'll give you a quick rundown of the EDC. We have a nationwide search for a replacement, and that ought to be done probably end of October, 1st of November. Then, of course, they're going to give notice. I hope they do. I hope they don't just walk out. That would be a bad thing. If they just walked out, we wouldn't hire them. How about that for crap? So they'll probably come on in December, and then they would start looking for an attractions person. And so that's kind of where we are. Until then, we have everything covered. You know, luckily I was the COO, so I know how to do everything there. And we have some really, really, really good people that's more than willing to step up and do what they need to do. And so, as we say in the Navy, we are standing by to answer all bells. So
We had a question, Ms. Summers? Yeah. Okay. How many are in staff now, Mike?
we're the final four. I'm not going to say Mike's Angels, but
So it's all workers.
I was in Chicago. I wanted to call up and say, "Good morning, Angels," but I don't know how that would have gone. Sarah might have beat me up.
Any other questions? Thank you, Mike.
Thank you, sir. I'll
Appreciate
check
it.
on the botanical garden and SCORE.
Okay.
All right.
Mrs. Zanoni, any executive director comments?
Yes, Chairman, just a couple of things. One, we want to make you aware that tomorrow on the City Council agenda, the council will consider a 5-year contract with OVG 360. They're our new managing partner for the American Bank Center and our convention center. We know that some of the Type A, Type B dollars have been used with your all's approval to improve that facility. So we have pretty high confidence in this company, the leaders in Texas, and have a great business model that goes beyond Texas. And their contract is favorable to the city, and it allows them to provide great service here, as well as to help restore the convention center, the American Bank Center, the arena. So we're excited about that. So that's on their agenda for tomorrow. It's a 5-year contract with a 5-year renewal option at the city's pleasure. So also we want to thank Brady Ballard for being here. We know that the Whataburger Field is another city asset that this corporation has helped to fund. And the season this year was very successful. The facilities continue to stay robust with the investments that we put in, as well as that's put in by the Hooks. So we want to thank them. And then finally, we want to thank you, Mr. Trujillo, for 6 years on the Type A, Type B, right?
Thank you.
Yep. From what we understand, this is your last meeting after serving 6 years.
It's been awesome. I remember year
Yes.
one, getting a special meeting with Constance and going, okay, why do we have so much money in every fund? And so we went over that process, and over the last 6 years, we've gone from a struggle to I think this board here has committed significant dollars to our bayfront,
Right.
and to different amenities and to different major improvements, from the seawall to the marina to possibly the water gardens. I don't know, but it's the American Bank Center, significant dollars at American Bank Center and Whataburger Field.
Right.
And it's good to know that the board that is currently compromised is here for the city.
Right.
And I have a presentation I'd like to make, and this is really for everybody here. Unfortunately, only one person's getting the plaque, and that's Scott. Something I should have done about a year ago. But this kind of reads true of what all of y'all have done. Okay, so when I say present it to Scott Harris, I can easily say, Alan, Diana, Leah, John, Robert, all of you. So it's presented to Scott, chairman of 19 through 21, Corpus Christi Business and Jobs Development Corporation, Type A and B, Type B boards. An appreciation for all y'all's service and leadership in support of community projects. And here, I'm listing a few. The seawall capital improvement, obviously our core service. Small business incentives. Mike comes here and we're here to support him. The TAMU CC drone program, which is, I see in the future, is going to put Corpus Christi in the map further. The TAMU CC engineering labs. We're graduating engineers from Corpus Christi, thanks to the lab started with Mr. Tamez way back when, and we're continuing that process. The Corpus Christi Marina, we're all looking forward to that completion. Cole Park Pier, it was a stretch, but we made those dollars happen. The American Bank Center, there's so many exciting things happening in there, and I look forward to seeing the completion of them all. Whataburger Field, the affordable housing, Fish Pond, what a fantastic project that is. The next sports soccer complex, as I drove by today, I was excited to tell them, hey, this empty field here is going to be a first-class soccer field, and it's going to bring a lot of tourist dollars to the city. And the seawater features, that someday it's going to happen. I don't know when, but it will. So Scott, I'd like you to come over and receive this plaque. Thank you, sir. And with that, go ahead.
So I've never received a plaque before on the day that you're leaving. I think next year when I'm departing from this board permanently, I don't want anything else.
Well, I knew it would be a surprise, Scott. So.
What it means is, Lee, you're going to have to come back.
Yeah, he's going to have to come back for his plaque. Hopefully it won't be a year from now.
John, do you have a comment?
Yeah, that was a total setup for your plaque.
Okay.
So,
Anyway, with that,
You're not going to have anything on yours.
yes.
You gave it all.
With that, meeting adjourned, 2:10.
thank you.